So now that we're deriving these answer buttons dynamically based on the actual answers in our list of answers here, there are three things I want to change regarding these answers. For one, the styling. I'd like to make sure that these answer buttons take up all the available space, leaving some empty space to the left and right. That would be nice. In addition, I want to shuffle them because, as mentioned earlier, it's the first answer that is the correct one, and knowing this will be important for later presenting the results. But for showing the answers, I actually want to shuffle them so that it's not always the first one that's correct. And third, I of course want to make sure that when we tap those answers, we proceed to the next question, or after going through all questions, to the result screen. Now let's start with laying these things out correctly. To make sure that these answers take all the available space, we can go to the column widget here. And besides setting the main axis alignment, we can also set the cross-axis alignment. The main axis in a column is the vertical axis, the cross-axis is the horizontal axis therefore. And if you set this to cross-axis alignment stretch, which is a built-in alignment option for the cross-axis, the items inside of the column will actually stretch out to be as wide as possible to fill the entire column width. But of course that now also means, as you can see, that there is absolutely no space left to the left and right, and that's also not what I want here. To make sure that there is some space left, we therefore have to add some padding or margin around the column. And here it won't really make a difference which of the two things we use here. In theory, a padding is the internal spacing between content and the borders. As we have it here for the button, that would be the padding. And the spacing between widgets, so this spacing here for example, would be the margin around the widget. Now visually it here doesn't matter what we set for the entire column to add some spacing around it. And therefore here I'll go for a margin by picking this column here and refactoring this to wrap it with another widget, with the container widget, because that container widget then has a margin argument that can be set. And margin, like padding, which you already saw earlier, takes this edge insets class here provided by Flutter. And with edge insets all, we can add the same margin in all directions. So top, bottom, left, right. And here we could set this to 20. And that can also be turned into a constant value thereafter. So with that, we now have some spacing. Maybe I'll actually use 40 here. Yeah, looks nicer. And I also want to center this text here. And to do that, we can go to this text widget, and there on the text, not on the text style, but the text itself, you can set a text align argument, which then can, for example, be set to text align.center to, as you might guess, center the text in the middle horizontally, so that now it is centered. So that's now the visual part. And I'll get back to this text here, for example, later again, but for now I'm quite happy with how this looks. But of course the answers are still not shuffled, and that's therefore what we'll tackle next.